I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promise you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you're my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe that you're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe that you're my gravity, that you're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I had to leave. I will let you go. Why do you think that I want? Why do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promise you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you're my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe that you're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to NNSCRA TV's coverage of race number 16, Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, as we are here at the Monster Mile Dover Raceway, getting ready to cap off what's been an exciting weekend here at this concrete mile racetrack up in the northeastern United States. 100 laps await these drivers here today. Yesterday in qualifying, Reese Banks picked up his first pole of the season. That increases the streak now to 16 different drivers starting on the pole in our first 16 races of the season. Keep thinking that we're at some point going to snap that streak, and every week I think so, somebody new is able to emerge to the top of the speed charts. It's an all-Ford front row with Banks alongside of Caleb Fogler. Now Reese Banks comes into this one currently situated in the 13th position in points, so a win would obviously help him in terms of putting him in a wild card position, but it also, I think, would move him up into the top 10 in points. He's just been hovering for the last couple of weeks outside of the top 10 in the standings, which top 10 in points at a regular season is a playoff spot automatically as well. Caleb Fogler, on the other hand, in that 28, he's been trending a little bit downward as of late, but a former winner on the season. He is in a wild card position as things stand right now, 22nd in overall points. So he'll be looking for his second win on the season, looking to join 4 other drivers as a multi-win driver on the season: Hoyt, Shelton, Breton, and Rodriguez being those 4 drivers. Benny Watson, hometown guy here, one of his home tracks, this and Pocono, going to be lining up on the inside of row number 2. Benny Watson, very fast in qualifying yesterday, going to be making his second start on the year. He made his first start back at Pocono, where he finished in the 13th position. We'll see what he's able to do here today, trying to join the list of non-charter drivers that have gone to victory lane this season already. Matthew Rodriguez, Kyler Sustre being a couple of those. And then defending champion of the series, Charles Sanford. He's going to line up there on the outside of row number 2, looking for a good run here today. Sanford 29th in points. Remember, it was last year, late in the regular season, that Charles Sanford found a consistent streak, found victory lane, locked himself into a playoff spot. Maybe this is the race. This is the weekend where we start to see Sanford turn up the wick and start to get back into a position to defend his championship. We know S3 Motorsports has been doing pretty well as of late in regards to Jessica Shelton. Of course, the win at the end of the first half of the regular season on Fuel at Chicagoland, and then the strong run last week at M&M Super Speedway, picking up the second victory on the season for her, the second win for the Project Dodge out of S3 Motorsports, so we'll see if that helps him. Austin LaPlante, who comes into this race 8th in the point stands, but a very consistent year for that driver out of Northeast Motorsports. He was good in qualifying and will complete the top 5 for today's starting lineup. Let's take a look at the playoffs coming into this one, how they looked after the conclusion of last week at M&M Super Speedway, and every single one of our former winners on the season are now in the top 30 in points, so a huge facelift, especially around those 6 wildcard spots. Not a whole heck of a lot changed in regards to the drivers inside of the top 10. Destin Bolin moved up 3 spots, and Levi McIntyre moved up 3 spots. Qualls dropped 10 spots last week, but all the drivers that went into that race in the top 10 in points remained in the top 10 in points in the conclusion. Where a lot of the shuffling takes place is where our two-time winners are seated in regards to the wildcard positions. The highest two-time winner in the point standings right now would be Connor Breton, 24th in points. This is for the drivers that are in the top 10, by the way, because Casey Hoyt is obviously the highest multiple-time winner in the point standings, but Breton right now would have the 1 seed for the wild card position. Matthew Rodriguez, who's 28th in points, he is currently the number 2 seed, and then Jessica Shelton, after her victory last week, she jumped up into the top 30 in points. 30th in the standings, so she would be the number 3 seed. That means that 4, 5, and 6, as far as the wild card spots, go to drivers that have 1 victory and are highest up in the point standings right now. Dylan Young, 11th in overall points. Tyler Sustry, who's not in the field here today. We're going to have to keep an eye on that at the conclusion. He was 18th in overall points coming to this one. And Caleb Fogler, who was 22nd in points, they would right now be seated in those wildcard positions 4, 5, and 6. A couple point of notes: Sustry not in the field, and Zachary Fitzwater is only 1 point behind Caleb Fogler for that final wildcard position. Fogler's 22nd in points, Fitzwater's 23rd in points, so a lot of shuffling can take place after the conclusion of this one as far as those wildcard positions are concerned heading into Kansas next week. But should be interesting to see how it all shakes out. We saw yesterday David Dixon go coast-to-coast pole to win. We're expecting here today for some better racing for the race lead. Pit road will obviously come into play. As we saw, the fuel window yesterday was roughly about 30 to 35 laps. We're expecting to be about 25 to 30 laps here today, so at least 3 pit stops these drivers are going to have to make. Going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Let's go down trackside, get those famous words in motorsports, because I want to see what's going to happen here today. Miles may be hungry.
Drivers, start your engines!
All right, boys, just like we talked about in the meeting, what's going to pay off for us today is patience and consistency. Good, smooth racing on the racetrack, and that's what will take us up to the front. We'll be there at the end of this thing.
Good to see all 42 cars rolling off the grid this week. Saw a couple of drivers last week not be able to fire up. As you see the right side of your screen, the starting lineup for today's 100 lapper. Tires will obviously be a concern here today. The concrete surface here at Dover, not a lot of grip. Definitely wears the tires down, builds up the heat in that right front. So passing early is going to be a premium on starts and restarts. So expect to see these drivers battling pretty hard here at the initial drop of the green flag. But Reese Banks, second full-time season for Lake Effect Autosport. Going to be the one to bring us to the green flag here as they make their way out of turn number 4. Flagman has the flag in hand, and it's waving here over the hood of Reese Banks. We're underway at Dover. Had a battle for the lead there going into 3, but Reese Banks on the outside line going to lead the first lap here at Dover. Caleb Fogler going to be able to tuck right in front of Benny Watson into the second spot. Watson will slip back into 3rd. LaPlante will slide by Charles Sanford for 4th. Sanford now side by side with Zachary Fitzwater for the final spot inside of the top 5. Give it to Fitzwater, it looks like maybe off of turn 4. Nope, Sanford battles back on the top. Benny Watson crosses to the bottom on Caleb Fogler here through 1 and 2. See if he can make the pass here before they get over to turn 3. Looks like inside line, a little bit more prominent there in 1 and 2. Outside line gets that better run through 3 and 4, though right there you saw Benny Watson be able to have a nice center through 3 and 4. Completes the pass on Fogler and will move up into the runner-up position. With Watson in the second entry out of Haas Racing this week, Matthew Rodriguez in the 17 over at Bishop Family Racing. He did manage to make the show. Right now in the top 15 in the 15th position is Matthew Rodriguez. Missed out on the race at Charlotte dropped down to 30th in the point standings. Had a somewhat decent run last week at M&M Super Speedway, even though he ended up late in that race having to duck out of the lead pack and come to pit road for fuel. So that put him in a bit of a precarious position, missing out on Charlotte. Well, subsequently, I feel that Kyler Sustre, another former winner on the season, non-charter driver, is going to suffer the same fate. He was 18th in overall points coming into this one. Had some good momentum going, too. He had a good run last week at M&M Super Speedway, but he failed to qualify for this afternoon's event along with Jordan Lopez. And he is going to take a bit of a tumble in the points. We'll have to see just how far he falls. Top two have checked out for the moment. Third place stacked up. Fogler, LaPlante, Charles Sanford, Jordan Lopez making a pass there on Zachary Fitzwater to move up into the 6th position. So got a couple of the Blue Oval Automotive Fords running up here inside of the top 10, the 28 and the 38. Destin Bolin, the Maxwell House Ford, right now in the 8th position. As Lopez wants more. Lopez just made the pass around Fitzwater, and now he wants to break into the top 5. That's going to be a relatively easy pass right there for him on Charles Sanford. So move Jordan Lopez immediately up into the 5th position. He made 2 passes in the span of 2 laps. 38 is cooking here in the early going. And next on his list is Austin LaPlante. Meanwhile, further up, battle for the lead. Benny Watson to the inside on Reese Banks. Not quite clear yet off of turn 2. You could hear him feather the throttle there on that inside line. And Banks is going to hang on to the top spot, at least for the moment. And side by side for a brief moment brings Caleb Fogler up into the conversation now. Austin LaPlante and Jose Mills trying to catch up as well. Big run there for Watson down the back straightaway. Does he try something down here in 3 and 4? Nope, looks like he's going to ride in line. Try and generate the run here off of 4 and maybe try and make the move down in 1 and 2 again. Moved a little tight right there through the center of the corner. The aero tightness with the car in front of you. Not able to get back to the throttle as soon as you would like to. Going to lose a bit of ground there into turn 1. Reese Banks with a good entry into the first corner. Opens up about now a car length and a half back between him and Watson is starting to slip back here to Caleb Fogler. This could be a battle for the 2nd spot rather than for the race lead. Fogler ducks it down to the bottom. Tries to keep his foot in it here. I think he'll stay alongside of Watson down the back straightaway. Now what can he do down here in 3 and 4? Can he make the inside line work? I think he might have been able to, but they actually caught up to Reese Banks there, and that stacked the 28 up on the inside line. Still going to remain side by side here for 2nd place, Austin LaPlante. Now looking to see which lane is going to move. Oh, you can definitely see right there, the 28, I think the right rear started stepping out on him. Watson was back to the throttle a lot sooner, near almost contact between those two. Off of turn 4, good battling here for the runner-up spot. Reese Banks has got to be loving this. It might allow him to be able to open up some distance. Watson tries to clear himself there across the nose of the 28, and I believe he is now clear. So Fogler will drop back into 3rd. LaPlante right there with Jose Mills, then a bit of a gap back to the 6th position, which currently is being led by Zachary Fitzwater. Sanford going to take a look on him. Matt Haas right there. James Qualls looking for a good run after last week. The hardship of getting involved in an early wreck, dealing with damage for pretty much most of that race. Did not get the finish he was looking for. Right behind him, Casey Hoyt in the 74, trying to get back to the points lead. 1 point separation between him and the current points leader, Rob Evans, coming into this one. And Evans is currently running back in the 21st position, so live points would have the 74 at the top of the board in terms of the regular season standings currently, as he's currently in the 10th position according to our scoring monitor. Walls with the move on Matt Haas. And he's going to complete that pass. So you're seeing that there still are passes that can be made. But it seems like it's a little bit more difficult up here at the front than it is in the mid-pack area. That could be a combination of several things. It could be these drivers racing a little bit harder in the early going, trying to get up there into that clean air, so they're using up a lot more tire. That pass we saw James Qualls make right there, he might have been saving a little bit. And now, as other drivers are struggling, he's got a little bit of grip, a little bit of tire to be able to work with. Casey Hoyt trying the outside around Destin Bolin. This is the ongoing battle for 9th. A couple of former winners right behind them. Levi McIntyre, our winner from Pocono. Dylan Poteet, our winner from Darlington. Not too far back behind these drivers are a few of our two-time winners who need to get some good points here today to get away from that cut line. Matthew Rodriguez, 28th in points, 10 points above the 30th in the standings cut line, right now holding down 16th position. And just a few cars back, Jessica Shelton, 30th in points, the cut line driver, currently in 19th. You're going to have to see, as we are nearing what I believe is the window opening of when these drivers are going to have to start strategizing for their first round of green flag pit stops. You know, who's going to be the first ones in? I believe, based off what we saw yesterday and just based off of what we know about Dover in general, the earlier you come to pit road, the more track position you're probably going to gain. And I believe that these drivers are going to have to make at least 3 stops. I don't see how you can stretch it to be able to do it on 2 stops. I don't see how you could have the fuel, and I don't see how you could possibly have the tires to do something like that. So theoretically, if you kind of took this race and, you know, split it up into those 3 pit stops, you could maybe do like 30, 30, and 30 with 10 laps remaining. So there's a lot of wiggle room to be able to undercut on the pit stops. Zachary Fitzwater and James Qualls are on the move. Fitzwater moved up past Austin LaPlante into the 5th position, but now Qualls is going to take it. Qualls, I believe right now, may have one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, about 25 laps in. His lap time is faster than the 4 in front of him. They're running in the 23.7s to 23.9s, and he ran a 23.5. Watson, late in the going, gonna try and take the lead from Reese Banks. Ooh, they're gonna be even here off of 2. I don't think he's gonna be able to complete the pass down here in 3. That outside line seems to be more preferred, although it's really good right there through the center. They're still gonna be alongside of each other here off of 4. This is not over. Reese Banks has led all 25 laps so far. He's had a couple of challenges from Watson, but has yet to give up the race lead officially. And he will hang on to it again, it looks like here. Has a couple of teammates in 3rd and 4th starting to close in on the top 2. Documented earlier about Caleb Fogler coming into this one right now in the final wild card position if the playoffs were to have started last week. 22nd in overall points. Jose Mills right behind him, 12th in the overall standings. Gained 7 spots last week. And I cast my memory back to last season for Jose Mills, kind of in the same category as drivers like Matt Haas and James Qualls, who had a very consistent season. Mills, I believe, ended up finishing 3rd driver outside of the playoffs. So that would have been 19th in overall points at the conclusion of the season. Granted, he didn't find victory lane at all during the course of Season 6, but very consistent year, came on super strong in the second half of the season. So keep an eye on him because things are definitely looking good for that team here as Watson, I think, might take the lead. Is he clear? He is clear, it appears, off of 4. Lead change for the first time today. Lap 29's conclusion, Benny Watson now out in clean air. Remember, Benny Watson has some prior experience this weekend at Dover. Was in the lights race yesterday, I should say. And he's got him stacked up behind him there, all nose to tail. Banks in second. Fogler, Mills, Qualls, and Fitzwater all right there. And what's a train of 6 is going to soon turn into a train of about 11 or 12, because Charles Sanford and Austin LaPlante, Matt Haas, Destin Boland, Levi McIntyre, they're closing up. I thought these drivers are going to be on pit road sooner than this. Apparently not. Maybe with the CTS physics, a little bit slower lap times, so not as much fuel consumption. So it looks like maybe we might be looking at a 2-stop race rather than a 3-stop. But I still think the sooner you come onto pit road, the better chance you have of gaining track position. And James Qualls is flying. He got around Mills. He's about to pass Fogler and move up into the 3rd position. I don't remember where Qualls qualified in this race, but don't let this car out in clean air, because he's going to leave the field in the dust. This is one of the best maneuvering cars that I've seen in a long time at Dover. And he is looking really, really good. Bear in mind, we mentioned this yesterday, Joanna Atwood Motorsports is the defending team here at this racetrack. In 2 races, I should say. Last season, Dover was one of the showcase races. Tyler Gerdes, driving in the number 89 for Joanna Atwood Motorsports, went coast-to-coast pole to win. That subsequently gave Quentin Moore the pole position, and Moore made the most of it, dominating in what was his first and up to this point only career win in Duracell Cup Series competition. So you got to think that being the only team that has a next-gen car win here at Dover, we went over a lot of the material, a lot of the data, and they have hit on a combination here for James Qualls that has moved him up to 2nd and has him looking for the race lead. Trying to put some air on that left rear quarter panel, get the 80 a little loose there through 1 and 2. I feel like whenever he wants to, Qualls could pass him. Let's see if he can do it down here in 3 and 4. Not quite able to do it right there, but I did notice he didn't lose a ton of momentum on that inside line. That's important to squirrel away here. If I'm Qualls on the upcoming pit stop, don't touch the race car in terms of adjustments. Just change the tires, put in the fuel, send me back out there, because this thing is a rocket ship. Look at this. Easiest pass you'll probably see for the lead all night long. James Qualls to the top position. Second lead change of the night. Very encouraging. As I said, I was fully expecting, based off of testing, that we were going to see some passes for the lead during the course of this race. And we are indeed seeing that. A far cry from what we saw last season when we were here at Dover, where it was, not to discredit Quentin Moore, but it was pretty much just the Quentin Moore show. Nobody could be able to get up to him. Most of the battling was for 2nd place. We've now had 2 lead changes here tonight. Reese Banks leading 28 laps, Benny Watson leading 8 laps, and now James Qualls leading the last 2. Let's see about some other drivers that may be moving their way up through the field that we haven't talked about. How about Benjamin Miles? Miles just on the outside of the top 10. Last time by scored in 11th, and he appears to be moving his way to the front. I believe we've got some drivers coming to pit road. Destin Boland in the 12, I'm being told, has just hit pit lane. So the 12, beginning some pit road cycle here, and here come a couple more onto pit lane. A little contact there. The 44 of Reese Banks was into the back of Benny Watson as they were slowing up there for this very difficult pit road entry. But from 2nd and 3rd place, Watson and Banks on pit lane. Let's see if James Qualls now will dive onto pit road. Those two obviously trying to leapfrog him in terms of tire grip. No, Qualls will stay out a little bit longer. Interesting call there for the 70 as, ooh, we got a car blowing up. That's Jose Mills, and he was running in 2nd place. He's going to get down onto the apron, but is that car going to be able to make it back around? They may have to throw the yellow. I don't think that car's going to be able to make it back around to pit lane. being down the apron, I don't know if they would deem that off the racing surface and they would keep it green. He'll obviously have to teleport back. We're still looking, still no caution. And he will bring it to pit road, and I believe we still stayed under green. Tough break there for Jose Mills. I believe James Qualls did hit pit road. And that turns the lead over to Matthew Rodriguez in the 17. Who's now going to hit pit lane. Bunch of others coming to pit road here. Just keep an eye on the 80 of Benny Watson. And the 44 of Reese Banks, who's back behind him. See where they are in relation to James Qualls when all this cycles around. There's Fogler coming off pit lane. Austin LaPlante, some other drivers who've had up in the top 10 all day long. Boy, that's such a tough break there for Jose Mills. Mechanical issues have really been a thorn in the side of these drivers for the last couple of weeks. Saw Joshua Osborne not even be able to roll off the grid last week at M&M Super Speedway. Retired out of the race without even completing a lap. Zach Rogers spent most of the day off the lead lap as he also had a problem on the grid. Got some more drivers on pit lane here, just leaving pit road. Oh, we got an issue up here. What is going on? The 98 of RJ Bishop is slow, and these drivers, I think, are getting lapped or so. What is going on? They can't get around the 98 of RJ Bishop, who is crawling on the apron. A bunch of drivers are going to really be paying the price for this because they can't pass on that very narrow access road. Oh man, what in the world is happening? Bishop still, are they going to be able to get around him here on the back straightaway? They've got to pass him. Oh, that's what's happened. The engine's gone. The 98 blew up on the apron. These guys can't get around him. He's low. I don't know why they're not passing him. And these guys are going to get put a lap down because of this. These drivers are all going to get put a lap down. And this is going to probably bring out a yellow. This has to bring out a yellow. Oh, there's a wreck. Yep. And they're still wrecking. They're still wrecking. Benjamin Miles, Quentin Moore, Jesse Turner, whole host of others, Kyle Matthews. That is one of the strangest things I've ever seen. This race was looking like it was going to trend into a pit strategy green flag race, and just like that, some mechanical problems. The field got completely stacked up there. Qualls inherited the lead, by the way, as we were watching all that go down. He re-inherited the lead, but Quentin Moore, the defending winner of this race, Bishop, whose engine went south, Kyle Matthews, Jesse Turner, Benjamin Miles, who was looking like he was going to have a good day, Levi McIntyre was right in the center of all that contact, our points leader Rob Evans was in that, Matthew Rodriguez is coming in, he's got damage. And I believe I just saw Matt Haas in the 8 was on pit lane. Because of what you just saw going down there from pit road exit all the way over to turn 3, we've only got 17 drivers scored on the lead lap right now. And all the drivers that were trapped behind RJ Bishop are 2 or more laps down. Let's take a look at what happened there. We could clearly see after he came off of turn 2, RJ Bishop, a mechanical problem. Smoke was definitely billowing from underneath his Ford Mustang, but then it ensued in a problem over here in 3 and 4, this wreck involving a lot of drivers. So here's the big problem. Okay, if we'd been at any other type of racetrack, we probably might not have had this issue. Dover is a super, super narrow pit road exit. There is no conceivable way to be double wide on the pit road exit. Okay, so here's a look at RJ Bishop coming out of his pit stall. So we didn't even see the black smoke until after he came off of turn 2, but it actually starts right here on pit road. About midway down pit road here, you're going to see the smoke out from underneath the Kroger Ford GT500, right here. There you see it. So he's already in trouble. He can't go back to his pit stall back there because he had a pit stall very close to the entrance of pit lane. So as that thing... Now what I'm wondering is why he didn't then pull left here and let everybody go around him. But he proceeds to stay in the pit road exit lane. You can see right here, flat, and then a little bit of banking there, and then the racetrack. There is no way to be able to swing around the outside of somebody double wide on this pit road exit, especially when you come around out of turn 2, because it narrows up so much. There's actually a wall there as well that you might have a chance of hitting if you are the car on the left side of a double wide. So it's pretty much recommended to be single file coming off pit road on the exit access road on the apron. So Cody Lamas, Rob Evans, Nathan Norman, they'd love to swing around this 98 right now, but they can't do that without putting themselves in danger with the oncoming traffic there through 1 and 2. So they're basically stuck. I'm a little surprised that once they finally got here to the exit of turn 2 that they still continue to kind of stay behind. Like at the point right here, the 84 of Lamas should be swinging around to the right as well as everybody else. The 98 should be pulling a little bit lower here to the inside wall to let everybody by. Like you see back there, Dylan Young, Matthew Rodriguez, Anthony McCurry, they're in that second group. They should be up to speed here. They should be firing up. There's Qualls going by. There's Benny Watson going by. And I believe it's going to be Kyle Matthews going to be the one that's going to get clobbered right there by Benjamin Miles. And then Levi McIntyre and company come flying in. Matt Haas, maybe Keith Batson getting a bit of it. When McIntyre, the whole left front got ripped off of his car. Quentin Moore there as well. We're going to take some more angles now of the incident over in 3. Boy, Levi had cycled out to, I think it was 9th. Matt Haas to 10th. Miles was battling with Charles Sanford for 7th. There's the shot. Oh, and then right into the back of Rob Evans as well. There's Turner. There's McIntyre. There's Quentin Moore. Kyle Matthews took a couple of shots as well from the drivers that were trying to leave pit lane. Not only got the hit there from Kyle Matthews, or from Benjamin Miles, I should say. Watch it right here as he comes up the track, gets the hit. Reggie Fogelman gets a piece. There's Matthew Rodriguez in the back of the 24, so that's where he got his damage. There's just nowhere for these guys to go. And as I said, because of all that, most of those drivers you saw trapped behind the 98 of RJ Bishop are going to be 2 or more laps down. Well, this race has definitely taken a bit of an interesting turn as we've gotten the pace car peeling off onto pit road and getting ready to turn them loose here for the second half of this race. We have officially 16 cars on the lead lap here for what will more than likely be the remainder of this race after what you just saw go down. James Qualls will be the leader over Watson, Fogler, LaPlante, and Reese Banks, our pole sitter. It's like 5 drivers out of the race. Benjamin Miles, RJ Bishop, Jesse Turner, Quentin Moore, and Jose Mills. As Watson looking for the race lead here on James Qualls, trying to do a little housekeeping here. Bishop and Mills out due to mechanical problems. Miles, Turner, and Moore out due to crash damage. We've got one driver 1 lap down in Levi McIntyre running 17th. And then Dylan Young in 18th on down through Matthew Rodriguez in 30th are 2 laps down. Cody Lamas, Nathan Norman, Nick Gunther, Chris Dollerton, Reggie Fulgham are 3 laps down. Rob Evans and Kyle Matthews are 4 laps down at this point in time. And I believe on that restart that we just had there, we got lap cars intermingled with lead lap cars. Right there is Charles Sanford in 6th. Zachary Fitzwater in 7th. And 8th place right now is Keith Batson, but you see he's got some lap machines in between him and 7th place, Nick Gunther, Cody Lamas, and Nathan Ormond. A lot of drivers, though, really that caution and that cycling of pit stops, all that really benefited them. This now moves Keith Batson up into the top 10 in 9th. Connor Breton is right now in 10th. Zach Rogers currently in the 12th position. So while we had drivers obviously be on the bad side of what we just saw go down there with the RJ Bishop mechanical failure, a lot of drivers were able to reap the benefits of those problems. Austin LaPlante trying to make a move here on Benny Watson. That'd be for 2nd place. I believe that Ormond, Lamas, and Gunther, yeah, these guys are actually up here towards the front, but they are battling for position, 31st, 32nd, 33rd. So there is still something to race for all these drivers that are off the lead lap. Obviously not the situation that they want to be in, but at the same time, you want to finish the highest of the drivers that are in your respective lap. That is, maybe without a doubt, one of the strangest things I've ever seen happen here at Dover. James Qualls, though, showing the way, opening up the gap. It's about almost 0.8 of a second between him and the battle for 2nd, Benny Watson and Austin LaPlante. James Qualls very lucky that caution didn't come out sooner when it did, because more than likely he would have lost some track position. I think LaPlante's going to complete the pass on Watson for 2nd. Yes, he is. But Qualls would have probably lost track position because a number of drivers actually leapfrogged him in terms of pit road strategy. But he was indeed able to cycle back around to the top position. Well, as James Qualls continues to show the way here, Austin LaPlante now into 2nd, and Benny Watson holding down the final podium position. We're going to take a quick race break, and we'll be back here for the conclusion of today's race from the Dover Raceway. Don't go anywhere. Right back after this. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Welcome back to Dover Raceway, as we are in the 2nd half. Down the home stretch towards the checkered flag, and we've got a battle for the lead on our hands. Austin LaPlante has closed up a nearly 0.9 of a second gap between himself and James Qualls, and he's looking for the top position. If you're just joining us, though, this has been a very interesting race up to this point, in more ways than one. Holster Reese Banks started out leading the first 28 laps. Benny Watson, the non-charter entry, here at his home track, one of his home tracks, then took the lead for the next 8 laps. James Qualls then took over the lead. He's led the rest of the laps so far, besides the 2 laps Matthew Rodriguez led during the cycle of green flag pit stops. We had some mechanical issues with Jose Mills back behind the wall. RJ Bishop with an issue during the green flag pit stop cycle that stacked up everybody else behind him on the exit on the apron of 1 and 2. Led to a consequential wreck over in turn 3s, put another few drivers back in the garage area due to crash damage. Benjamin Miles, Jesse Turner, Quentin Moore. We've only got 16 drivers currently on the lead lap out of 37 drivers running, with a plethora of drivers either 1, 2, 3, or 4 laps down as a result of the whole stack up on pit road exit. Let's take you through the field here of your lead lap cars. Start with James Qualls, coming off the disappointing finish last week at M&M Super Speedway. Qualls was 10th in points coming to this one, basically the cut line driver for the drivers trying to point their way into the playoffs. He may be en route to his first victory in what's been a long, long time. Austin LaPlante, though, wanting to deny him. Another driver that's been very consistent this season, just hasn't gotten that checkered flag. He showed the nose there into turn 1. LaPlante 8th in overall points coming into this one, and he's going to try for the lead down here into 3. Paul says you want that shallow entry, go ahead, as he arced it into turn 3 and will open up a bit of a distance between himself and the Ally Chevrolet for the moment. 3rd place is under contest. Benny Watson, great run in his 2nd start of the season. Looking for his first top 5 here of season 7. He finished 13th in his first race back at Pocono. Qualified well here. Has been running well all day long, as we mentioned. Been out in front for a spell. Trying to hold off Caleb Fogler in the 28, who came into this one in the 6th and final wild card position, 22nd in overall points. Been a good run here for the former champion today. He's been in the top 10 all day long, top 5 here for most of the second half. Trying to find his way around. Benny Watson for 3rd. 5th place right now would be our Mid-Ohio winner, Zachary Fitzwater. He was only 1 point behind Caleb Fogler for the final wild card position coming into this race. Right now, he and Fogler could be in line to both be up in the 3rd and 4th seed of the wild cards as things currently look. Great run so far here today for that driver out of Evans Motorsports. Fitzwater holding down the final spot inside of the top 5. Reese Banks started this race from the pole position, got shuffled back after Benny Watson got the lead from him, and then James Qualls eventually passed them both. Reese Banks having a solid outing, though, here. Track position has been very important for this 44 team all day long. Currently holding down a top 10 as Banks is trying to make his way back up into the top 10 in overall points. Was, I believe, 14 points behind the 10th and Danes cut line coming into this afternoon's race. Charles Sanford, another driver who had a good qualifying effort. I believe he rolled off the grid 4th, currently holding down 7th place. Charles Sanford has been up in the top 10 pretty much all day long. We'll see if he can gain a couple more spots here to get up in the top 5. As Sanford so far only has 1 top 5 on the season, only 2 top 10s so far this year for the defending champion of the series. As we make our way through a lot of the lap cars, you got to drop back all the way to here to find our 8th place driver. That's Keith Batson, coming off last week his 2nd straight runner-up finish at a 3-mile super speedway. He finished runner-up to Casey Hoyt at Coke Zero Super Speedway, runner-up to Jessica Shelton last week. Timing of that caution cycled him up into the top 10, where he's currently holding on to an 8th place position. He's got quite a bit of a gap back to his next competitor, about a 2nd gap back to Jessica Shelton. Shelton coming off that victory last week, 2nd of the season, first multi-win season of her Duracell Cup Series career. Needed a good points day here today because that victory put her up into the top 30 in points, right on the cut line of 30th in the standings. And a solid top 10 run right here. Jessica Shelton, if she's able to close this out, that would be 3 top 10 finishes in the last 4 races for this 94 car. 10th position right now is Connor Breton, another driver that really needs points. Last week, he was, I believe, either the cut line driver or just around the cut line as a 2-time winner. Had a great run at M&M Super Speedway, jumped up 9 spots in the stands to 24th. So a little bit of breathing space. Had 17 points between himself and the cut line coming into this one, and may continue to increase that breathing space, as currently he holds down the final spot inside of the top 10. Well, we know Rob Evans got a piece of the incident over in 3, bringing out our only caution up to this point. Casey Hoyt is on the lead lap. Rob Evans is currently 4 laps down in 36th. So Casey Hoyt looks like he is definitely in line to take the points lead into next week at Kansas Speedway. Holding down the 11th spot right now. Got a car between him and 12th. That is Daniel Boyles. Boyles just looking for a good run. Daniel Boyles so far this season has had 2 top 10 finishes. Those top 10s have both been up inside of the top 5, but he is 37th in points, and he dropped 5 spots in stands last week. So just looking for some consistency is the driver who put that number 26 in victory lane twice last season. Battle here going on between Ryan Butcher and Zach Rogers. Ryan Butcher currently holding down the 13th position that he took from Zach Rogers that previous lap. Ryan Butcher coming into this one currently positioned in the 34th position in the standings, so kind of another driver like Daniel Boyles, who was very strong last year. end up winning his way into the playoffs late in the regular season. This season, though, just striving for a little bit of consistency as Reese Banks is on pit road in the 44. Benny Watson and Austin LaPlante also on pit lane. So the pit stops have begun. This is the final pit stop cycle of the day. Zach Rogers right now, well, he was in, I believe, the 14th position, now 11th after those drivers hit pit lane. But Zach's looking for what might end up being one of his best finishes of the season if he can hang on to a top 15. They've documented about the struggles of that 6 team during the course of this season. Zach Rogers coming into this one 40th in overall points. Second worst of the charter drivers, only to Joshua Osborne. As Zachary Fitzwater right now your race leader. James Qualls hit pit road the lap after LaPlante did. We'll see how those two cycle around as Nathan Ormond getting into the door of Zachary Fitzwater. Fitzwater's going to have to pit here at some point. We're also awaiting Charles Sanford, Connor Breton, Daniel Voiles, Casey Hoyt, and Zach Rogers for everything to cycle around. Fitzwater's going to stay out a little bit longer here in the 66. Might be planning on maybe something happening again like what happened under the last round of green flag pit stops. Try and trap some of those faster cars like Qualls and Fogler and LaPlante a lap down. There's Batson. He completed his service. One of our lead lap cars prior to the cycle. And now Fitzwater's going to come to pit lane this time. Carson Gum, lap machine coming in also. Charles Sanford. Oh, he was on pit road the lap prior, so was Voiles. Not sure who this would cycle the lead around to. Maybe to LaPlante, although where is the 70 of Qualls? Qualls may not have come off pit lane yet. Oh, there's Qualls. He's way up ahead here. He completely leapfrogged Austin LaPlante, it looks like. Matt Haas right now, the race leader. I'm not sure if he's pit yet or not. Or I don't think that was Qualls getting himself back in the lead lap. Matt Haas is still yet to come to pit lane. So playing a little long strategy here is the driver out of Haas Racing. No way he can make it on fuel. But right now, he's got everybody except for the top 3, I think, right now. 1 lap down. Qualls just got his lap back. Zachary Fitzwater, I believe, has cycled back out, still on the lead lap. Nope, he's a lap down now. We were just waiting for scoring to update. So, yeah, as of right now, well, Matt Haas is coming to pit road. But I was going to say, Qualls was the only one besides Haas on the lead lap. But look at the gap that Qualls has been able to put on LaPlante here. LaPlante was on the back bumper of Qualls just prior to that pit stop. He even undercut Qualls on the strategy. And Qualls has got, what, about a third of a racetrack over the 48 now? So credit to Qualls here today on the job he has been able to do, but credit the team overall. First off, they ended up tuning up that car to give him a fast hot rod. He was one of the fastest cars, making his way through the field, eventually got to the lead. Nobody seemed to be able to touch him. LaPlante looked like he might have a shot at him, but then the pit crew coming out and showing up, giving him an absolutely flawless pit stop. And as he goes back up to the top of the board, let's see what the interval is between him and LaPlante. I think it's going to be somewhere in the region of about 6 seconds. I mean, Matt Haas might cycle around to second place. I don't know what happened to the 48 on that pit stop, but it was not good. I think Haas is going to cycle into the runner-up spot. Interval is showing 5.5 seconds. Qualls over LaPlante. I thought Haas was going to cycle into second, but actually it looks like Haas is, yeah, he was on the tail end of the lead lap during that pit stop cycle, so he's actually going to cycle around as 1 lap down. You got Nick Gunther, not too far behind Qualls, so that's a lap car that LaPlante would have to deal with. He's now dealing with the lap machine of Matt Haas. And look on the top left of your screen, there's only going to be 8 laps to go next time by. Not going to jinx it anyway, but there's really only a couple of things that could hinder James Qualls from winning this race right now. You think back to last season, James Qualls, Matt Haas, a couple of drivers that really brought about the new rules change in terms of the playoffs. They had such consistent seasons, but they just couldn't find victory lane. Matt Haas almost won the regular season championship. James Qualls was up in the top 5 in points. But despite how good they had been in the first 26 races, because they didn't have a checkered flag, they missed out on battling for the championship. NNSCRA officials looked at that, felt that was not right. It changed the playoff format, putting just as much emphasis on consistency as on trips to victory lane. They stated that the top 10 in points, regardless of if they had a win or not, they would be battling for the championship by the end of the regular season. And then they would put the emphasis on race wins and open up 6 wildcard spots for drivers that were outside of the top 10 that had been able to find victory lane, if not once, multiple times. And now James Qualls is about to not only keep himself in the conversation for making it NBA top 10, but he's finally about to snap what's been a very long winless streak. Five laps to go for the Castrol GTX Chevrolet. He's been in the conversation for race wins here this season. Fuel strategy, untimely cautions have taken him out of the picture. But here today, he has been front and center. Ever since he took the lead from Benny Watson, it has been all James Qualls, and he's 4 laps away from securing this victory. Austin LaPlante is in second. Benny Watson about to have a great day in that non-charter entry. Only his second start on the season, 3rd attempt to make a race this season. As he's holding down the podium, Keith Batson going to bring it home in the 4th position. Batson, after his runner-up finish last week, jumped up to 14th in points, and he's going to continue to climb in the point stands. I would not be shocked to see Batson in the top 10 in points, potentially in a playoff spot heading into next week at Kansas. And Zachary Fitzwater right now holding down that 5th position, so he will certainly jump up into the wild card conversation. 2 laps to go for James Qualls, who looks to head into our Midwest doubleheader next week as a winner here in Season 7. Lights drivers will be at Iowa on Saturday, Cup drivers at Kansas on Sunday. And for the 2nd straight year, it looks like a Joanna Atwood Motorsports Chevrolet is going to be taking a checkered flag here at Dover. White flag in the air. 1 more lap around Miles the Monster. What an unbelievable day for this 70 team, and they did not do it from the pole. So we have found something that works in terms of a setup for drivers being able to pass through the field to get to the race lead. As James Qualls off of turn number 4, the winless streak is snapped as he gets his first checkered flag of Season 7 here at Dover Raceway. Close there for, I believe that was the 5th position. Caleb Fogler got around both Zachary Fitzwater and Keith Batson late to get 4th, and Batson will hold off Charles Sanford. I believe that was for the 5th position. But how about that? Joanna Atwood Motorsports in the next-gen cars is a perfect 2 for 2. Quentin Moore won the first race for the next-gen car last season. James Qualls wins it this season. And I know, obviously, when it comes to this series, with the unpredictability we've had in the first half of the regular season alone, you can't really say anything for certain, but you gotta think that's a playoff spot clinched right there for James Qualls. Just on what we've seen out of him here in the first 13 races, on the consistency, and now getting that checkered flag here today. Definitely needed that run after the hardship of Eminem's last week that put him down on the 10th in the standings cut line. Let's take a look at the finishing results that are now official, we believe. Yep, they are. Qualls will get the win. Austin LaPlante brings it home in second. A couple of your top 10 drivers in points Benny Watson with a great run there in third after a great qualifying effort out in front for, I believe it was 8 laps. He'll bring it home with a podium finish at one of his home tracks. Caleb Fogler, great run for him here today. Him and Fitzwater, who came into this race 1 point separated for the final wildcard spot as far as the playoffs are looking right now. And Fogler's going to bring it home in fourth, Fitzwater in sixth. Great job for them. Reese Banks, after the great effort out of his team, giving him the pole position with a fast hot rod yesterday, brings it home with a top 5 run today. He could be up inside the top 10 in points. Keith Batson, same thing as I was mentioning with him. He could be up in the top 10 in points as he brings it home in 7th. Charles Sanford, maybe this is the turnaround point here for the defending champion as he'll get 8th. Destin Bolin going to bring it home in 9th. I don't think we talked much about the 12 car all day long. Great performance for him as he'll stay up in the top 5 in points. Ryan Butcher's going to complete the top 10 in that number 78 Toyota. We had only 15 drivers finish this race on the lead lap. Voiles will bring it home 11th, Breton in 12th, Shelton in 13th. So there's a couple of your 2-time winners that really needed to rack up points to keep themselves in the wild card situation. They bring it home top 15. Casey Hoyt will be the new points leader heading into next week as he brings home in 14th. And Zach Rogers is going to be the last driver to finish on the lead lap as he will score the 15th position. Matt Haas is going to finish in 16th, and we didn't really talk a whole lot about it, but some good battling there of drivers that were 2 laps down. Anthony McCurry wins out on that as he'll finish the highest of the 2-lap down machines in 17th. Will Goss in 18th. Joshua Osborne and Carson Gum are going to complete the top 20. You take a look here, all these drivers that finished pretty much 2 laps down or more were involved in that stack up on the inside access apron, coming off of pit road as they were stalled out behind the mechanically impaired 98 of RJ Bishop. But you see where they all finished in regards to what all went down there. Bringing out our only caution of the day as well over there in turn 3. Matthew Rodriguez 30th. Not the run that he was looking for as he needed points to stay ahead of the cut line. Look at some of the other drivers that were running well in the point standings that did not get the finishes they were looking for. A lot of drivers up there inside of the top 10 in the point standings involved in some incidents today. Dylan Poteet mired back there. Where was he? 26th, and he was 4th in points. Jesse Turner out of the race. He was 3rd in the standings. Rob Evans was the points leader coming in, loses the points lead because he finishes 4 laps down in 36th. Reggie Fogelman, who's been on a bit of a tear as of late, 4 laps down in 35th position. So while we see a lot of drivers have some good runs today, a lot of drivers did not have good performances today. A lot of it in part to the incident we saw there with RJ Bishop and all mayhem that caused, but Dover is going to shake up the point standings, not only in terms of overall points, but as far as what the playoffs look like as well. 5 drivers did not reach the conclusion. Benjamin Miles, Jesse Turner, Quentin Moore out due to crash damage. RJ Bishop and Jose Mills, a couple of blue ovals, out due to mechanical issues during the course of this race. But that's going to do it here today from Dover. James Qualls picks up the victory. We'll have the stats for you next week on how long a winless streak he snapped here today. I want to say his last victory was back in Season 3, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So we will get you the statistic on that next week, probably during the qualifying session at Kansas Speedway. But well done to him. Thank you all for tuning in today's race here from Dover. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We showed you full page results, and you're now looking at your point standings heading into next week. Should be a bit of a playoff shakeup as we get ready for our Midwest doubleheader. The Duracell Ultralight Series drivers, they will be running on Saturday after pole day qualifying for the Cup drivers at Kansas, and then we'll be having that race at Kansas on Sunday, our 17th race of the season as we continue down this home stretch of the regular season towards the playoffs. Cannot wait to see what happens next. But I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV. So long from Dover. We've been I think I just messed up my catchphrase. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best, and we will see you guys next week at Kansas. Until then, I'm out.